taking I out of the equation. We know fire is destructive, but it's fueled by oxygen we don't see. Many times you don't want a conflict at home, but it's because of you never realize. My parents used to visit Hyderabad every year in summer and spend 1 or 2 months with me. The year I got married, my diligent father organized the same schedule as every year. My mother didn't warn my father it could be a problem. I, being a loyal son, immediately accepted and happily went to announce this to my whirlwind wife that we are going to have fun roaming around Hyderabad together in a car I had bought recently. The first time saw how a wind can turn into stone. There was no way it would turn. His face was buried in the pillow, and he kept saying no. The loyalty in me, because of all my parents have done to me, made me persistent. And then my kind wife budged and said, just for 2 or 3 days. This did not register as kind consideration from my partner, but contempt towards my parents and my family. So this war continued, and finally, she agreed on terms that we must find a bigger house. We searched, and all were much beyond affordable. Anyway, they arrived. And not a day passed and it was hell. I realized that I was a bad diplomat, always trying to say the truth I saw and not the other way around. I tried many tricks, personally putting 3 times the effort to make everything normal and happy. Then one day I was working on my PC and my parents came to convince me that I had chosen the wrong person. This I saw as an insult to my choice. I choose what I chose and take responsibility for it. I didn't want anyone to criticize it. So I straight away got up and left the house on bare feet, boxer shorts and a banyan. I was determined that I would never come back. It was near dusk, and first I met a group of dogs that became interested in me. I picked up a stone and threatened them, and they left me alone. I kept walking and walking, but as I went further from my house, my resolve kept fading. This is because I had not taken consent from anyone who had loved me so much. I had ignored my parents calling from behind. When I ran out and my wife's calls from the rooftop where she was hiding or finding solitude. From high-tech city, I walked till Punjagutta, and then I sat on a bus stop and contemplated. There was a burning ghat on the other side with a gate adorning Shiva. I looked at him and felt some peace. I cannot recount what else I thought, but in the end, I decided to return home. I remember, though I had looked at my hands which had my only assets, the gold and diamond wedding ring from my wife, and the gold ring with Pukraj, Yellowstone, made for me by my father to ward off evils, while contemplating whether to sell it. I came to realize no one would come to understand the value of these objects, and I cannot ever get a fair price for something invaluable. I was almost 70% of the way back when I saw my car coming, driven by some people that were from my wife's camaraderie. They saw me and picked me up. Sridhar Anna checked my pulse, and it was normal. I was very peaceful. When we returned home, I saw a tranquil environment. My wife and my parents had collaborated in arranging the search party. They had visited the police station. My mother had become good friends with my wife within a span of a few hours. They made tea and biscuits for the search party together, and we sat and chatted. I showed the book that I was reading at that time, Tao of Physics, by Fritjof Capra. I felt like I was the king for that moment. Not only happy, peaceful, in harmony with the universe and myself. I realized I had been foolish at taking all the trouble in my head. I should have recognized that they were fighting for none other than me, and thus enjoyed it. It also made sense why cutting out the oxygen can stop the fire. I realized why, for thousands of years, people have been running away from home to the Himalayas. But it makes sense to come back while still possible. It's the best place on earth. That doesn't mean you will not respect your own choice and respect others' choice. That is the biggest commandment from Shiva. Warning: do not use this as a tactic. It may lead you to crooked results, as you are still willingly trying to influence the outcome. Why do conflicts occur in the first place? We know when conflicts occur, everyone is the victim, so we should want to avoid conflict. But new creations also occur after conflict, so it's not entirely bad. But family conflicts are just good for bringing greater understanding about ourselves and others. So when I married, my wife assumed that she was getting a husband just for herself. My mother assumed she was getting a wife just for her son. And my father assumed that with a grown family, he could continue the same way and be proud. When we introduce a new variable into an equation, the priority is to understand the new entity and give it enough freedom and resources to establish itself. We didn't have time as me and my wife lived in Hyderabad. When any decision is taken where everyone is involved, it's better to discuss and take everyone's opinions and find a common ground. No variable is unimportant. All add up to create balance. So if we miss that opportunity, it's a matter of adjustment for the new variable, which I think is unfair. I have faced things in other outside conditions like work when I was not considered as a factor, many a time expected to do just the bit that was required. This is good for localized harmony, but when you consider the whole, it adds up to imbalance and impermanence.
Thank you for being with us. Like and subscribe, and please hit the bell icon to get instant notification of contents added.